What's up, my high vibe tribe? It's your girl Sanaa, aka Sin the Introvert, and I'm so excited to be back with you guys because today we're talking about how to be confident and how to believe in yourself. But before we jump into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and follow me on all of my socials for future updates. But before we jump in that, I'm also gonna put on some lip gloss because I can't be out here looking crazy, rusty, crusty, and dusty. Okay, so I'm going to try and break this down in steps. And also a disclaimer, this is what worked for me. I'm not saying that you have to go out and do all of these things or get any of these things or, you know, follow the exact steps I did. Just do what works for you. So a little bit of backstory, like I was not the most confident person. Like I was highly insecure and I didn't know it. And I feel like that's like one of the most dangerous things because it kind of keeps you from being your true self and it kind of keeps you in a box. I'm a really intuitive and spiritual person. So for me, it kind of was just like an inkling, like a feeling like I gotta get my shit together because I kind of started to really feel my mental health decline and I was just depressed all the time. I had really bad anxiety. It was to the point like going outside was difficult for me. So I just decided that I didn't want to live like that anymore. And I wanted to be confident no matter what room I walk into, no matter who's standing next to me, no matter where I am. So first I started with my spirituality. I really started meditating and I started to kind of figure out why I was insecure and going back to like my childhood and really trying to figure out what was it that started the insecurity and not believing in myself and kind of putting myself last, to be honest. I can say like I started to notice in relationships, whether it be friendships, family, just overall relationships, I would put in a lot of effort and not get a lot of energy reciprocated. And I think along my journey, like where I am now, I'm like, child, I have so much confidence where like I know that what is for me will never miss me, and if a person doesn't believe in me or if a person is kind of treating me like I'm nothing, I'm out. Bye. There's billions of people on this planet, and if you don't believe in me, somebody will. So yeah, that's kind of like where my mindset is now, but I definitely, it's been a long time coming. I did not start that way. But I can say like I distinctly remember just not being able to look at myself. Like it was to the point where like I had one mirror and like I did not like looking at my body. I didn't like how my hair was. I didn't like my facial features, and it's insane because like even now like I wear like wigs and extensions and stuff like that, but I love my natural hair and I love like my natural body and my natural features without makeup. And I think that's what makes a person truly confident. Like yeah, I do agree when people say like go and do the things that make you feel good. Like I love getting my nails done. Like I have to have my nails done, and I like making myself up and making myself look good because when I feel good, that's like when I look my best is when I feel my best, if that makes sense. And I don't want it to sound shallow, but yeah, I think that true confidence is when like even if I don't have my nails done, even if I don't have my makeup done, even if my hair looks crazy, like even if I just throw on some sweats and a t-shirt to run to the store really fast, I still believe in myself and I'm still confident enough to be like, it don't matter what I look like, I'm still that bitch. So oh my god, I cursed. If you are a kid watching this video, cover your ears. But yeah, so my spirituality was one of them. I started really diving in to healing childhood trauma, going and looking up like what karma is, and you know, just really trying to understand myself, my spirit as a whole, like me as a being and not just a body that's kind of like just going and doing the day-to-day. I really wanted to understand myself to the fullest. So I started meditating a lot, and like I started like, okay, so on YouTube when I started looking for meditations, I would see like hypnosis videos come up a lot. And look, I was scared of that stuff. I was like, child, I'm just gonna go ahead and do my little meditation and call it a day. Like I could not sit like Granted, my first time meditating was in high school. It was a guided meditation from one of my teachers, but I didn't understand what it meant. All I knew was how it made me feel. So that was something that I like, it always stuck with me, and that's what made me want to go into meditating first. So I didn't know how to meditate on my own, and I barely knew what that was. So I started to watch like guided meditations, and there's like the guided meditations that are like an hour long. I started with 5 minutes, then I like once 5 minutes, I was able to sit for 5 minutes, then I moved up to 10, then eventually 20, and now I kid you not, like I could meditate for 2 hours, which is insane. Like I rarely meditate for that long anymore, but that's how deep I was in it. Like I was just so like really wanting to get to know myself and just go deeper and deeper and deeper and dig out whatever issues, whatever problem, whatever triggers I had. I was like, I'm gonna find it and figure it out and get it together, because I don't want to feel like, I don't want to not believe in myself, and I didn't want to be in a room of people and like not put my confidence in myself first, if that makes sense. So I started keeping like journals. Like I got like my meditation journal, my spiritual journal, and then I had like my everyday journal, and then I had a dream journal. And honestly, like here's one of them. Like this is my new like 2021, but every year like I get like five journals, and you can go to the 99-cent store and get 5 like little composition books for $1 each, maybe less. Or if you like can't drive or you don't have a car, there's like on Amazon. Like I got this from Amazon, and it came in a pack of like 5 for like I think $7. I'll like link it below in the description box, like exactly where I got mine. Don't quote me on that price though, but it'll be in the description box below. But yeah, and I started just writing everything down. And so, I mean, I'll do a later video on this, on like how to get organized. But I write down everything, because I started to realize when I wrote things down is when, I was able to see and really like understand myself. So I would go back like at the beginning of the month, and at the end of the month I reread the previous month, so then I can kind of just check in with myself and know where I am mentally. And I like, granted, keeping consistent with this in the beginning was really difficult, but I had to be disciplined, and I'm still working on being disciplined when it comes to writing in my journal every day, because I honestly don't want to miss anything, because you never know, like every day is different, and there could be that one thing that you like, a quote that'll come to me or something like that, and I go back and read it and I'm like, oh, and it'll kind of resonate like maybe days later. So I do my best, and I really try and stay disciplined when it comes to like journaling. When I was a kid, like I never had a journal. I had diaries and stuff like that, but eventually I stopped. I didn't write in them, because like anytime I did, I just had no privacy as a kid. Like if I did keep a journal, like my mom would read it and then like throw it up in my face later. If you are a parent and your kid keeps a journal, I understand. Like granted, I'm not a parent, so I can't give like advice, but you should allow your kid the privacy to express themselves regardless if you agree with it or not. I mean, I understand if they're writing like crazy stuff and you kind of have to keep a check on them, but allow your kid the space and the privacy to understand who they are and to come into themselves, because that's truly the only way that you can be confident. Being confident is knowing who you are to the core. And we live in a world where society is constantly telling us to be something else, to strive to be someone else's idea of what success is or what happiness is. And if you don't truly have a grasp on who you are, you can really get lost. I wouldn't say that I got lost as far as who I was. It was kind of like I just forgot. Like I was thinking that I needed to please everyone else, so I would like hold my tongue a lot. I would just say like just yes to people, like just being a people pleaser. And it ended up like working against me in a lot of situations, because I was just like giving out all of this divine love, all of this amazing love, and just not getting anything back. And I think that when you're confident, it's kind of like thinking of it as like your cup, I don't know, I live by this quote, like your cup should be full with or without your surroundings or anyone else in your life. Like your happiness and your confidence, it doesn't come from anything external, it comes from inside you. So if there's a time where you feel triggered by something, or if you like, especially scrolling on Instagram, like Instagram is literally like the new magazine. Like it's the new, like, yeah, it's like a new magazine where people just scroll through and see everything that they're not. And I think that that could be difficult on someone who isn't like strong-minded and isn't confident in themselves, because I think people, obviously, like on social media, you see the best of everyone. Like not very many people, I think people are starting to be a little more honest and kind of like really voicing their downfalls, just because I don't know. It's like, I think it's a great thing that people are starting to do that. But yeah, but especially like if you're someone who like, look, this is my advice. If you get on social media and you're scrolling through and you catch yourself saying like, ew, I don't like that, or feeling negative, a low vibration is what we call it, you need to delete that person. You need to log out of your Instagram and you need to get right within yourself, because it's not the person that's triggered. Like your triggers come from you. And I think that it's important for people to really sit and figure out why they're upset. Like if you see someone else succeeding and you're automatically like, oh well, I can do better, I feel like that jealousy and that envy comes from insecurity, and you need to do what you need to do to get yourself out of that, because it's 2020, ain't nobody got time for haters. Like I think haters are just insecure people. And I think also, like to a certain extent, any and everyone has been a hater before. I just, it's just human nature, to be honest. I would say, like, piggybacking off of like Instagram, get rid of the toxins. But before you can get rid of all the negativity, you have to be able to identify where they're coming from. So like I said, like if you find yourself on Instagram and there's someone that you haven't talked to in like years and they never communicate with you, they never congratulate you, delete them. It's time to get rid of all that stagnant space. If you have clothes that you haven't worn in like a year or two, get rid of them. If you have friends that don't make you feel good when you're around them, if they make you feel like less than when you're around them, get rid of them. There are billions of people on this planet, and there are so many people that are willing to see you for your true light and see you for who you are. I think it's way more beneficial to you and to your spirit to find that tribe. Like find your high vibe tribe and find those people that make you feel good, that make you want to strive for positive and like to live your best life. I wrote down, like, look, I told you I write everything down. I wrote down in my little notebook all of my notes so I wouldn't forget, because I think it's really important. I think that a lot of people talk about like self-love and be confident, but nobody tells you how. Nobody tells you really where to start. And I think that's so important. You know, we just lend a helping hand, and just if I found something that works for me, I feel like I want to share it with other people, because these are things that I wish I had known how to do earlier. And I feel like, especially like during my high school experience, I feel like it would have made things so much easier, because growing up, I like still have a very slim support system, but now my support system is more solid. Like it's people that I can trust in, that I don't have to like second guess if they're telling me something based on their own, their, like personal gains, if that makes sense. But yeah, so getting healthy also, like I went through like maybe 2018, 2017, I went through like this huge life change of just trying to get my health back. Like I was so unhealthy and my body was just falling apart, and I was just tired of it. Like I wasn't getting any answers, and I just figured I'm gonna have to do this myself. So I always kind of was into like natural healing, and I never like my family, we just don't like taking medicine at all. That's just how we were raised. And I would go to the doctor and they would just prescribe me something new and prescribe me for depression and anxiety, and I didn't think that those things were healing the problem. They were just masking the symptoms. So getting healthy was something important, and I mean health on all levels, like body, mind, and spirit. So body wise, like health wise, I decided to go plant-based. I decided to go vegan after watching a documentary called What the Health. I'm not sponsored, by no means. I don't even know if you could be sponsored by that, but look, I literally started watching it, and I had like, I will never forget, I had like a like sandwich from like Starbucks or something because I was at work and I was watching it on my break, and I literally dropped my sandwich when I in the middle of this documentary because it just grossed me out. Like I couldn't believe that these were the things I was putting in my body, and like half of the stuff it's like you don't even know it's in your food. So I decided to go plant-based, which was one of the hardest things because at the time the only like grocery store near me was like a Ralph's, and Ralph's didn't have like, they barely had like vegetarian food. So they finally built us like a Trader Joe's near me. So I was like so thankful and so grateful because I was able to go to Ralph's and Trader Joe's to like kind of bounce back and forth to get the stuff that Ralph's didn't have. Anyways, but yeah, going plant-based, I don't even, I understand being vegan is difficult. I think that people kind of judge each other like, oh, I'm vegan, and like it's this high and mighty, but no, it's a really difficult lifestyle to eliminate something that you've had since you were a baby. Like it's difficult because you also don't realize until you can't have it how many things actually have animal products in them, like things that shouldn't even, like obviously I'm not trying to be like a spokesperson for being vegan, but all I can say is that it worked for me. Like a lot of the pain that I used to feel, my depression, my anxiety, like it's like my body just kicked into drive, and all of a sudden I had all of this energy, and I was stronger, and my skin looked bomb, and my hair grew hella long. Like I was like, look, this is definitely the lifestyle for me. But again, it is very difficult to maintain. So I suggest possibly like if you, I never really ate chicken or red meat. I just never really liked it. I used to be pescatarian, so I suggest that people go maybe pescatarian, and then go vegetarian, and then start to eliminate things slowly, because I think going cold turkey would be a little counterproductive, because it's like when you deprive yourself, you're going to end up binge eating, because that's what I did for my first like 2 weeks. But yeah, so we touched on spirituality, we touched on getting your body right, and we touched on meditation and getting your mind right and getting healthy. And I tell every person I know, meditate, 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 please. Even you don't have to sit and meditate like a monk for days, like 5 minutes at the most, just to kind of get to know yourself. I think people also have this misconception with meditation that you're supposed to quiet your mind, but that's not the truth. I remember when I first started, I was using this app called Headspace, I think it is. Again, I'm not sponsored by them, but these are just things that I was really experimenting with, trying to figure myself out. And there was one thing that they said in that app was like, your thoughts are like cars driving down the street. If you jump in front of those cars, you're gonna cause a crash, you're gonna cause an interruption, and it's gonna be chaotic. But if you sit back like you're on a bench in the park and just watch those thoughts go by, just notice the thoughts, that's where you start to get to know how you're thinking, the way that your mind works, how fast are you thinking when you're trying to sit by yourself. Those are the kind of things that like I just recommend them for everyone to at least try. I think you owe it to yourself to try these things out. But yeah, that's just me. Yeah, so I think my like self-love journey kind of, it's crazy because I started like I said before, like I couldn't look in the mirror, so I started forcing myself to see myself. I started taking pictures more often. I would like make sure I looked in the mirror like constantly. Now I can't stay out the mirror, but but yeah, I started taking photos, and I would post them on Instagram because that to me was like my protest to myself, to kind of say like, look at yourself, look at who you are, look how beautiful you are, and to kind of recognize my own beauty. Because I feel like once you can see yourself outside of like your vessel and outside of just a mirror, just from a different perspective, it helps you to recognize how beautiful you really are. So yeah, I started taking pictures and posting them on Instagram and posting them on my social media, and that actually led me to modeling. Like I didn't think that I never thought of myself as attractive enough to be a model, and obviously I've always been a curvier girl, so I never in my life imagined that I would be able to model. But once I started posting on Instagram, that one thing led to another, and I ended up like getting into the model industry. But that's another video for another day. Also, I would say like change your mindset. One of the most important things of confidence is how you think, and your mindset is just so important. I don't think people understand how much their mindset really affects their day-to-day life. Just the way that you even speak to yourself is so important. I think that words are so powerful, and now that I understand how the way that words truly manifest, it's it's very difficult for me to speak negatively of myself, like to speak of myself in a negative light. Because I also notice that if you say something about yourself, it gives off the vibe to other people that you don't really like yourself. So they're like, oh, well, she treats herself badly, so I can treat her badly too. And that's not something you want. You want people to treat you with respect, and you want people to see that confidence and see that they can't like walk all over you, not in an arrogant way, but just to, kind of set the standard and the boundary of how people treat you, and your life will truly change. I think letting go, that was like one of the most pivotal things for me, because I'm the kind of person, like, I don't necessarily hold grudges against people, but I'm the kind of person, like, I'm obviously a Pisces, so I will remember everything that you said to me and everything that you did to me, but not in a vengeful way, just like, okay, I peeped that and I'm gonna take that note, which I also think is really important, but again, that's a video for another day. But yeah, I had a lot, I think I just had a lot of hurt in my life. And ever since I was a kid, like the first thing I remember was the pain and like the hurt from things that I went through. So I kind of held on to that, and I didn't understand how I was projecting that onto other situations and in relationships in my life, in friendships, in family relationships, in love relationships. Like I was just all over. I was just a hot mess. I had to figure it out. But yeah, I tell everyone, like, start with your childhood, because that's where it's at. You got to start with the first time you got rejected, the first time someone made you feel embarrassed, because those are the things that kind of stick with you, and they really do affect your childhood has a huge effect on your adult life and how you communicate with other people and how you hold yourself. Like it truly does. So I would say go back to like your childhood, and granted, I went to a therapist. I started with a therapist, but I just felt like for me it wasn't like, I think it was just the therapist that I had. I had tried so many different people, and a lot of them weren't very spiritual, and most of them didn't really give me what I needed. Like, I didn't just need someone to talk to, I needed someone to help me work through my trauma, and I just wasn't getting that. Sorry. I just wasn't getting what I needed from a therapist. So I just decided, I'm the kind of person, like, I'll just do it myself. So I started researching, and I got really heavily into psychology and just reading psychology books. And I really got into the way that the human mind works and why people do the things that they do, because I wanted to figure myself out. I wanted to know why I was reacting to certain situations the way that I was, and what the root issue was. That's kind of like where the research started for me. And then eventually I had to really let go of a lot of friendships. Some of them because the friendships weren't working out, but some of them just because I felt like I wasn't in the right headspace to really hold down and contribute to relationships, like love relationships and friendships. It was just really difficult for me to kind of keep those boundaries and be there for the people that I loved. So I kind of had to make the executive decision to step back, isolate myself, to be honest, and figure my shit out. Like, I had to figure myself out. And some of those like friendships returned, some of them didn't. Obviously there's no like harbored feelings, but they were just, I had to recognize, like, what was important for me was to detach from all of the things that I knew and get back to the basics of who I was. And that's something that I think played a huge part in me becoming confident and understanding who I am. Also, I think what's important is, like, figure out what you want. I think a lot of people, we're raised we want to meet our parents' standards, and we want to make our parents proud, so we just do whatever they want us to do. And from a young age, we're kind of taught to fit into society's standards. I think it was just something that I recognized even as a kid. I would sit around and listen to a lot of my friends talk about how many kids they wanted, the kids' names, their like wedding dress, but you ask them what they want to be when they grow up and they're like, I don't know. So that was something that I just observed at a young age, and I really just wanted something other. I do think that I'm a bit of a rebel. Like, my first instinct is to question and to rebel, and I think that that has actually played, it's worked in my favor in a lot of situations. So that's something that I kind of love, that I have that instinct, but I'm still learning to balance. But that brings me into balancing. Like, you have to figure out how to balance. I think that life is just one big balancing act, and I think that once you get a hold on some, like, especially your confidence, like, confidence isn't something that you learn and you just have all the time. And I think it's something that you have to maintain. Because some days I do relapse. Some days my depression comes back and my anxiety comes back, and it's difficult. But now the difference is that I have the tools to work myself out of those situations. Like, I used to just be constantly depressed, and that would lead me to like binge eating and just all kinds of like unhealthy habits and just toxic behavior. So now I think that knowing the tools and knowing that I can get myself out of my depression and anxiety is something that definitely helps. Know your worth. Oh my God, know your worth and add tax, honey. Know your worth and add tax. That is like the best advice, because I think that, especially living in LA, I think that we all have something that makes us valuable, and it doesn't matter. Like, I don't think your worth is based on material things. I think it's based on your values. What do you value in life? Whatever it is for you, you got to figure that out for yourself and really hone in on that, and stand firm in it and be confident. Don't let anyone like make you feel less than just because you believe in something different than them. You also have to realize that every person on this planet is only like, they live based on their own perspective of life. So I think that once you realize that everyone has their issues, everyone has hurt, everyone has pain, I think it makes it not easier, but I think it's just easier to empathize with people, so that if someone does kind of come at you sideways or treat you in a bad manner, you understand like, whoa, that's your, those are your things that you have to work out. But I think it's important to draw boundaries, and I think those go hand in hand. I think my issue was not really setting any boundaries, being afraid to set boundaries, because I was afraid that people wouldn't like me, and it was like abandonment issues and just a lot of stuff that I had to work out. But I think that learning how to set boundaries and learning how to say no and how to walk away, living in a scarcity mindset will keep you stuck. And if you think that you'll never do something, if you think that you can't be confident, then that's what it is. But if you truly believe in yourself and trust in yourself that you can do anything you put your mind to, I think that's what confidence is. But yeah. So that's all for today, my High Vibe Tribe. I'm so happy again to be here with you guys. And until next time, I will see you then. Bye.